Hello, hello. Welcome to A Dreamer's Experience Conquer the Chaos. My name is Sean Laurie, and as a father of four and an entrepreneur, I want to give you guys different insights or tools each week from either myself, my wife, or others that will not only help you as an individual, but also as a parent conquer the chaos.
And hey guys, my name is Tiffany Lowry and I co host alongside my husband. I do wear many hats, and the two that I'm the most proud of is being a mother and a wife. We have had many chaotic moments as a family, but have somehow, some way, always managed to conquer the chaos. And that's why I'm excited to be here with you guys to share part of our journey.
Yes, so guys, welcome. Last week we dove into about that terrible situation that happened in Texas with the mass shooting, and we dove into that. Definitely encourage you to check that out. But I want to make sure that I show love to the fathers because this month is Father's Day. So last month, yeah, in May, we focused on the mothers. And so I want to make sure I share light on the fathers and be able to hear their stories and things like that.
Yeah. So, of course, we're going to do things a little bit differently. I'll be the one asking the questions this time. So, to start off, icebreaker time. So we just celebrated your birthday
Yes.
on Friday. So happy birthday again.
Thanks. Thank you.
Um, so icebreaker. What is one of your most memorable birthdays?
Um, One of my memorable birthday. Actually, it's probably my 30th birthday. Um, when you actually threw a party for me with family and friends, and that was pretty cool. I think I had a birthday party when I was younger. I'm pretty sure I did. I don't remember them, but for sure that was probably my most like memorable or one of the most ones that really sticks out. Just because it was like I'm not big on parties like that, but to have family and friends and people I haven't seen in a while all come out was pretty awesome. So
I
yeah.
remember that. It was very stressful for
Yeah,
me.
I'm sure it was. I'm sure. Yeah, but no, it was a great birthday
Yeah,
celebration.
that one was fun.
It was. It was.
Okay, so to start off, I have a few questions for you. So, first question: what does being a father mean to you?
That's actually a really good question. What does being a father mean to me? It means being the protector,
Mhm.
um, being a provider, um, being a motivator. So many different hats, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could sum it up in one word, but a father is such a key thing. And it's such a crucial part, I feel like, because a lot of times, if we're being honest too, is a lot of us have daddy issues, right? And that's the impact
Yeah.
that a father has, either from, you know, a lack of having a father, or our father was present but wasn't present, or our father just wasn't in tune with their emotions. So we took on them not being in tune with their emotions. So we took
Yeah.
that same habit, right? Those same things, because that's all we knew.
Hmm.
Um, so honestly, a father, I feel like, just has a huge impact how you view the world in many aspects, because so many times a father, especially if you have a son, they want to imitate what you do, they want to mimic what you do. And then if you have a daughter, she is looking to you for love. She's looking to see what love looks like,
Yeah.
for you to be that example of what love is. So yeah, I know that was a deeper, I guess, or longer answer, but that's what it means to me, is just wearing so many hats, and making sure that you're being present. I guess that's the biggest thing I could say, is being present, because I say that because when you when you say presence, like, that kind of covers everything. That covers being a provider, being a protector.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, being presence, I feel like is probably the one thing that really sticks out. But there's so many different
Yeah.
meanings for me.
Yeah, because definitely I think with fathers being present or not present, it definitely has, it can impact, your child in a good way or a bad way. like you mentioned, just being present, it's huge.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's very very key.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. How is your journey of being a father for each child?
Oh man, we'll be here all day. I got 4 kids. No, but um, my journey. So my journey was well, with my oldest. I'll start with my oldest, Camille. Um, when first when I was dating and stuff like that with Tiffany, I wasn't even thinking about, you know, being a father and things of that nature. And honestly, a lot of times it can be scary. It can be intimidating because um, Camille is technically not biologically mine, but in
Mhm.
my eyes, she's mine. Like no one could tell me differently. Um, but I knew when I stopped being silly and stopped doing foolish things. But I knew, okay, if I'm gonna really commit to this woman, I also have to commit to Camille, and it was something that I didn't take lightly because I know how it is to be a stepchild. I know how
Mhm.
it is to, you know, want that father figure to
Mhm.
um, also feel like, okay, am I being a burden to them and things like that. So that's something that I definitely didn't want our oldest to feel. And so, because there's always those, those stereotypes and stuff like, oh, I have a terrible stepdad, terrible stepmom.
Right.
And that's not what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that she understood that she was loved. And I wanted to make sure, too, she was comfortable. So
Yeah.
that's something that we could dive into another time. But it's just so many layers um, to get to where we're at now. But I love her so much. I'm so thankful to be her father. But yeah, she was my first daughter, um, and honestly, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I wanted her to be the only daughter too.
Yeah.
But
I remember that.
yeah, but that's our oldest, Camille. So the second one is Junior, and after me,
Your twin.
yeah, I mean, I already knew, like, I was confident that I was ready. Obviously, when he came, I was for sure ready. I was like, yeah. And I knew for sure. I remember telling her, like, oh, yeah, like, we're having a child. Like, I know for sure, like, we're having a child. So, um, and with him, it was a very surreal feeling because that was the first time actually seeing a baby, having that experience, right? Where being in the hospital, having him lay on my chest, right? Hearing his heartbeat, watching him sleep. So that was a different experience for me because obviously I had my oldest, but I missed out on her being a baby, even though I've been here since she was little. Able to see with that was a very surreal feeling, sure, just to see him grow and now seeing him, his mannerisms and things like that.
Which are just like you.
Yeah.
The dancing and the like your twin. That's why I
Yeah,
say that.
sometimes. But
Sometimes. Okay.
um, but yeah, he definitely is. And the funny part is, I didn't even want him named after me, but I didn't really have a choice in the matter. But
Nope.
I was like, no, I don't. But I mean, it fits him for sure because he does act very similar to me. Um, but that's him. And then our youngest daughter, Lania. Yeah, like I said, the journey with her, first of all, I wasn't planning on having another one. I'll be honest. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's not what we're gonna do right now. But life happens, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, found out that we was having her. Well, I was actually hopeful it would be a boy. Um, and again, the only reason why is because I was very conscious of that. I wanted to make sure that our oldest didn't feel um, threatened or forgotten about or
Left out.
so it was one of those things. I wanted her to have that label, like, oh, I'm the only girl, and I love my youngest daughter, of course, very, very much. But at the time, that was my thing. I was very, like, I guess, concerned about that because, again, I never wanted our oldest to feel like she wasn't loved. I never, not not from Tiffany, but from me. I didn't want her to feel like, oh, you do certain things with her and not me. Even now, like I know at times I'm a little bit more affectionate with my youngest. Also know we have a teenager now. I know she don't want me all up in her face and stuff, but even then, like I'm trying to do better with that as well, just to make sure. I just never want her to be like, man, Dad, I wish said you loved me. I wish you was more affectionate. So even now, I'm still working in those areas with all the kids. Um, but yeah, that's her now. She's funny part is I feel like she's a super daddy's girl now.
Linnea,
Yeah. So
yeah,
she's but yeah,
Putty,
no,
you.
no. I don't know if I'm putty, but but no, she definitely she's just very funny. She has a lot of my personality as well. So it's going to be very interesting seeing her as she grows up
Yeah,
and things like that. And then the youngest of the bunch, Shiloh, um, he's very, very, very what's the one I'm looking for? Protective when it comes to me and Tiffany. But yeah, as far as him, again, wasn't necessarily preparing for him. Actually, came at
yeah,
one of the worst times because it was literally during the time where I was dealing with depression, anxiety. So I was just really in a dark place at the time. Um, and so, honestly, when we got the news with him, I was in a state of panic. If I'm being honest, like I was in a state of panic. Um, but we're so blessed to have him.
yeah.
Um, and I could tell he's going to be very protective with his family as well.
It's already very aggressive.
Yeah, yeah. And he's for sure not going to be the type to let you gain his trust very easily.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would say though that's pretty much like my journey with all them, and all of them have helped me be a better man, a better father, um, better husband. So yeah, that's pretty much my journey with all that. I know I took a little while, guys, because got a lot of kids. So
yeah. No, you're fine. All right. So next question. So, you help families
mhm.
and you decided to focus more on fathers now.
Yeah,
Um, so why did you kind of shift? Like obviously, like I said, you still help families
yeah.
and do your personal coaching, but you shifted more towards focusing on fathers. So why for you is that such a big focus now on dads?
Because I feel personally, the father should be setting the foundation for the household.
Yeah.
Not saying that mothers don't. Mothers obviously they play a huge role as well. But like I stated earlier, I feel like a lot of the issues that we deal with come from daddy issues. And when I say daddy issues again, I'm not saying like, oh, your dad was a terrible person. No, there's just certain things that we pick up because that's the impact that our father has. Just like there's a huge impact that mothers have. And so I realized a lot of times, like for example, a lot of times guys will, or our fathers, I should say, have a hard time expressing themselves to their kids,
Mhm.
right? And it's not by accident when you know you meet the guy or the father, whatever. Um, they're just like how their father was, where they can't express themselves, where they're quick to get angry. Why?
Mhm.
Because that's what they saw their dad do. You know what I mean? Like we hear those stereotypes a lot, which I mean, it is somewhat true, where guys do struggle with expressing themselves at times. But when you look at their father's the same way.
Yeah.
It's very rare where you see the father, is able to express himself and is really just locked in emotionally, um, and their child is not.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like so, and that's a very key thing where I try to stress to my kids to make sure that they understand emotional intelligence, and that's really just diving into your emotions and understanding it at a deeper level.
Mhm.
And that's something I feel like that's not talked about enough, especially when it comes to fathers. I feel like women, mothers, they're great at understanding their emotions.
Yeah.
They'll talk about it. They're not afraid to talk about it. But with us, especially fathers, we're afraid to talk about it, and then we pass it down to our kids. And then, it's just one of those things we just accept. When it doesn't have to be that way. Like if we're hurting, it's okay to talk about it. Um, just make sure that we pick the right people, because a lot of times too we're hurt because we was taken advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think for me it's so key. um, and also the fact that we wear a lot of hats. There's times for myself as well, I'm feeling overwhelmed, where it's like, oh my gosh, one child is asking for this, the other child is asking for that. My wife needs me to do this. Oh shoot, I have something I need to do for my business. Oh shoot, I got to make sure that whatever, this needs to be fixed. Oh, something has to be put together. Oh, I gotta go to the store, and oh, this bill needs to be paid. So it's just like all these different emotions at once, and we'll just take it all in. We won't say anything. And I'm guilty of that as well at times, and that's why. And it's still, even though I help parents with this, still something that I'm constantly growing in. Um, and if you have a coach or ever had a coach, if they ever tell you that they've mastered whatever that they're doing, that's something's wrong. They should constantly be growing in that area too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I tell every parent is, even the ones I work with, like, hey, I'm constantly growing in this area as well. So I think that I say all that because that's the reason why I focus on the fathers, because once you're able to really help the fathers unlock certain things within themselves or have a better understanding of certain things within themselves, it's going to pass down to their kids, and then it's going to pass down to the community,
Mm-hmm.
because we are part of the community, obviously, but it's going to
Yeah.
pass down. So that's why I think that's so key for us to be able to do that. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
the reason.
Yeah. Two things I wanted to touch on really quick that I
Mm-hmm.
think were interesting that you said. Um, I think, at least from my experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the men that I have come across that were like very in tune with their emotions, they were raised by women. Like they didn't
Mm-hmm.
have their father in, or a father figure in their lives. Or if they did, they were, like you said, not in tune with their emotions.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something that's very interesting. And, we can dive into that a different day. But yeah, I've definitely noticed like a pattern in that.
Yeah.
In men that are in tune with their emotions, a lot of times were raised by just their moms.
Yeah.
So
No, that's actually that's good actually. And because, like, right, like for those, it's like, oh man, okay, well, that's the solution, right? The solution is clearly we'll support the father, because now with the mother, could help, just help their sons or daughters strictly just emotion. But it's a balancing act too,
yeah.
right? You got to be, as men, as fathers, yes, we're very strong, we're very determined, that's good, but it's more so understanding. See, the key is understanding your emotions, but using that for to fuel you, using that to actually to your advantage.
Yeah.
And that's because, again, I'm not saying all mothers, because there's women that understand that, but a lot of times the problem is the guys know how to use certain things to drive them,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not understanding their emotions, so they're actually pressing it down,
Yeah.
right? So it actually limits them in a way.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you hear millionaires say all the time, right? It's like, oh man, you could do anything. You could accomplish this, you could accomplish that. Yes, that's true. But for you to really do that, you have to also understand your emotions so you can unlock that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, what you said is true. But then you get those, right, especially for, the mothers, single mothers, or if you're a woman that's just listening, whatever, that's single, you might be like, yeah, but they're too emotional, right? Like, oh, they're upset about everything. And that's why I said it's that balancing act.
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of times a woman does want someone that is strong, that feel like they can't protect them. It's not
Mm-hmm.
someone that's gonna be like, oh my gosh, I have no clue what to do. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just cry about it. Like, there's a time and place, right,
Yeah.
to pick that. So
Yeah. The second thing that I wanted to touch on really quick about what you said is just the main focus of shifting from, obviously, like I said, you still help families and stuff,
Yeah.
but focusing more on fathers, because there is like at least I feel like there's a stigma behind that,
Yeah.
behind men really coming together and expressing themselves and having a safe space to do that. You know, for women, us, we have like so many different support groups and stuff like that. But for men, there's definitely a lack of in the world,
Yeah.
just overall. So I think it's really cool to see, you know, you tapping in to doing that. And you know, being open to share, you know, your experiences and struggles as well,
Yeah.
because a lot of times, you know, with men, they need to feel like they can, you know, talk about certain things with other guys and stuff like that and not feel judged,
Yeah.
because that's the biggest stigma too, is, you know, they're worried about feeling judged,
Yeah.
you know.
No, that's true. Yeah, that's why I want to do this, because as fathers, we do. I mean, man in general, but um, when it's one of those things where we just constantly just we want to say these things, we want to get these emotions out,
Yeah.
but we can't, or we feel like we can't. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so that's what I don't want. I want us to be to feel like, no, you know, it's okay if I express myself,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean, you know, all the the degrading terms that you could think of, like that's our view, especially as men. That's our view of thinking like, oh man, you know what? I just told this girl I love her, I'm a simp. Oh, you know what? So and but the funny thing is, right? It's like, oh yeah, but you're saying that to a chick, but we still will do the same a lot of times to our kids. Oh no, you know I love her. Or why you never? Or you know I love him. Well, why you never told your son that? Why you never told your daughter that? Why you never hugged them?
Mhm.
Right? Why you never gave him a kiss on the forehead, on the cheek? Why? Oh man, I can't. Right? Like, and we'll carry that with us.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we want to do those things,
Mhm.
but we feel like we can't.
Mhm. Or a lot of times, like, it could backfire, right? Like, you know, your daughter, for example, like not getting that affection and that love from her dad. Now as she gets older, it's going to affect her, you know, negatively.
Mhm.
You know, I know that from experience. You know, my dad, you know, wasn't present like that. Like, he did the best he could, but you know, at the end of the day, he wasn't there emotionally like that, so it affected me negatively as I grew up. Like, I went searching for that.
Yeah.
So that's key. I think that's
No.
big.
Yeah, like you said too, because that's the thing too, right? So especially as I think about this, especially having daughters, like, you know, as fathers, you know, we'll be thinking to ourselves, especially if you're single or something like that, but you have a daughter or something, you're like, you know, you're treating these women a certain way, but then you're not thinking about how it impacts your daughter, and then you get mad that your daughter dates someone just like them.
Hmm.
It's like, well, that's what they see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or vice versa, like with your sons
Sons,
too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like how you treat, you know, your girlfriend, your
yeah,
wife, whatever. Your sons are growing up seeing that, and even
yeah.
from a young age, you know. Like, I think we've touched on this before, like Shondell, you know, he's 7 now, but he already has picked up that habit of wanting to get, you know, for example, me flowers, because
Mhm.
he sees you doing that.
Yeah,
So even from a young age, you know, they're already picking up on those habits.
yeah, yeah.
So
No, and that's key. Like it's like because again, like when you see those, I'm sure you heard it before too, where you see people where, oh, this girl is clingy or that guy is clingy. Why are they clingy?
mhm,
Right? Maybe because they do have abandonment issues
mhm,
because their father left, right? Or their father was a so it's like so many different layers to it, and basically that's why I think it's so key for me to again I do work with all families, but just making sure that I'm really giving a safe space for fathers where we can dive into certain things. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Um, so what kind of father do you strive to be?
Mm, what type? That's a good one. I strive to be. I mean, none of us are perfect. That's why, you know, shout out to those that's already part of the members and No Perfect Father that I created. But no, but I'll never be perfect, obviously. I'm gonna have my flaws, but I strive to be as perfect as I can be for them.
Mm-hmm.
For them. Um, because again, the methods or the way I do things might not work for other kids,
Yeah.
right? I'll use, for example, if you guys know or ever, I'm sure you might have heard of him before, LeVar Ball. If you didn't know, real quick, he's a dad that 3 sons, 2 of them made to the NBA, right? And his method didn't make sense to a lot of people. But and they would ask his sons about it. His sons were perfectly fine with it. They didn't have no issue with it because it worked for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I say all that because that's my goal, is just to be the perfect father I could be for them,
Yeah.
and be able to have certain conversations with them and be able to um, really just shed light on things before the world can,
Mm-hmm.
before YouTube. Right. I want them to have a better understanding and be able to feel like, okay, you know what, when I have a question on certain things, no, I really can come to my dad. It's not one of those things like, oh no, you're just saying it to say it, but you're just gonna overreact, or you're just gonna talk to respond. You're not gonna actually talk to listen to hear what I need to say.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I strive for. I strive to be that type of father, just the perfect father I could be for them.
Yeah. And I think, like now, like what you said, like creating that safe space for our kids, like that's already something that's being established. And like I've seen it within our household where, our oldest will come and talk to, us, but more so you about certain things. Or, even Shondell, him being 7, like he asks you questions and he feels safe to ask
Mhm.
those questions and stuff. So
Yeah.
already, you're already setting that example. All right. So to close out, um, what is something you want, our kids to remember you as?
Mm. Um, well, I mean, I guess like most people, I want to make sure I leave a legacy, right? I want to leave a legacy. And so this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Um, for me personally, I could do, a 9 to 5, um, but I wanted to make sure I live out my purpose. I live out my dream that I
Mm-hmm.
know is for me, um, because I want my kids to understand they can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So many times we tell our kids, "Oh, follow your dreams," and then they're looking at us like, "Well, are you following yours?"
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to make sure that I am setting that example. Um, I also want to basically, I want them to remember me as, a father that they could go to, a father that did set the example, a father that did leave something behind. That's why I do plan on doing a few things that in the future that I know when I'm long gone, they still will have that, and my kids will have that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those are things that I think about. I guess those are things that I want them to remember me as. It's like, okay, you know what, Dad was a loving, caring, man. We had no doubt that we loved us, that he loved us. He gave us so many different tools and things to be successful. Um, and yeah, and he impacted a lot of people's lives. Like, they know I care about a lot of people as well. Just I want to help people. So yeah, I want them to remember me with that when it's all, 70, 80 years from now.
Yeah. Long time from now. Yeah, and I definitely I already see that with the kids, that they pick up on certain habits that you've been practicing. And just seeing you doing certain things, at the house for, your business, like they definitely recognize that already. So I think that's very, very key
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah. No. Um, yeah, I guess, but before we close out, guys, I guess, did you have anything else? No.
No, I think that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, just very, very excited to see the continuous journey
Yeah.
that you're setting for dads. Like I mentioned before, I think it's key because dad, as you guys don't have that safe space. So creating that for dads, and then also like as the boys get older, seeing you creating that for men also I think creates that safe space for them to also be open with you
Yeah.
and just overall.
Yeah, no, that's true, guys, and I'm also, I guess, if you guys are interested in it, I'm actually for was it the Tuesday, June 14th? I'm going to do another event for the fathers. For those that's interested, you can either email me at dreamersambition@gmail.com, or if same with Instagram. Same with was it? Oh no, on Facebook is Sean Laurie. You can find me, or you can even text me at 254-304 7543 as well. You could text. Well, you could text no perfect parent or no perfect father. It doesn't matter, and I can give you the information on it, so you can be a part of it. But yeah, it is something that I'm very passionate about. I want to make sure as fathers we're being heard,
Yeah.
that we're being um, seen, and that is one of those things that those stigmas, those stereotypes, either we show that they're not true or we break them, right? We break
Mhm.
those things because again, it's one of those things that we shouldn't feel ashamed, or we shouldn't feel um, I don't know, less of a man, quote unquote, because we're overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Um, because it happens, we're human. But we've been conditioned, we've been told, oh no, as a father, you take it all. You're like you're supposed to leave the family, so you take on every single thing, and you don't ask for help. Matter of fact, you know what? You don't even say nothing to your wife, your spouse. You don't say anything to them. You don't tell them, hey, I'm hurting in here. Can you help me in this area?
Yeah.
And I want to break those things because it's not healthy for us, right? It's not healthy for us, for our mental and our physical. It starts really taking a toll on us. So yeah, guys, if that's something you're interested in, definitely let me know. But like always, guys, make sure you subscribe. YouTube, The Dreamer's Ambition, the podcast, of course. Conquer the Chaos. Yeah. So before we go, I just want to remind you guys, as parents, you guys are an inspiration, and to never downplay the impact that you have on your loved ones, so you can conquer the chaos. Have
All
a good
right.
one.
See ya.